Welcome back to the M3 podcast. We got Dalton Logan on again. We fired Alex, brought Ricky on in his spot. But 30-minute hot take today.
We had to feature Ricky in his big return.
I'm
welcome back.
He's back.
I'm back.
He's just been chilling for like a month.
Yeah, I've just been doing basically nothing, so it feels good to be back. Just been wiping some ass.
I was going to say, I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, not doing nothing, but I am excited to be back, and
You've been learning a lot.
Glad to have you back.
I have been learning a lot. Yeah, always wipe down and away. That part's important for the ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're figuring out all kinds of stuff.
We don't know any of this shit. We don't know any of it. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to teach
Hey, one
us.
day.
One day. But yeah, it seemed a little weird around here without Ricky here.
It's got to be kind of quiet. Lauren gone too.
I know.
Man.
Yeah. I noticed Ricky being gone more because, well, actually, Lauren helps like kind of run my life at the office. So that was a disaster. So now I've been jumping on Zoom calls. I've been putting together my own Zoom calls.
Ooh.
And then when we're
Yeah.
on
Big
calls,
moves.
Why did we switch to Zoom?
over what?
Google Meet.
I've never used Google Meet.
Really?
So much better.
We
It is
use
nice
Google
'cause-
Meet every day for every meeting.
Shows how much I know.
We'll give you a tutorial.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Do you pay for Zoom?
Yeah.
Google Meetings. And it's not free. It's included in the $800 and some dollars we pay for emails every month. But anyway.
All the money we pay over there. I think my Zoom's cheaper.
Yeah, probably.
All right. But today, I wanted to speak on stop chasing trends, build foundations. And I think this kind of parlays a little bit into what we spoke about, what was it, 2 episodes ago, about playing kind of a longer game. But deep diving a little bit more into the business side of it, not just from a marketing standpoint and a personal side of it. But question number 1 is, why do you think most entrepreneurs, and I'll say individuals too, jump on every new trend?
It's the get rich quick theme, right? Like there's always going to be an easy fix. So they see, oh, this person's having success with this. Let's just do that. And it's a little bit more of a copycat game at that point, and they're not sticking with something long enough. Or in the case of if it's like social media trends, that's not something that you're really going to stick with for the long term. So they're just always going to be in that revolving door of trying to catch the next big thing without actually taking the time to build their own thing.
I think there's a lot of people that just struggle overall with validation. And when I was going over this topic, something I experienced early days at MMG was I wanted to post stuff that somebody else had already proven that it worked. Somebody else had already done this and proven that it worked. So I think a lot of times when you're jumping at every new trend, it's already shown the proof in front of you. So I think the leaders in the space have to understand that you're exposing yourself to failure a lot easier and a lot quicker, where when you're taking that movement, that trend kind of, I think, almost safeguards, or you feel like it safeguards you a little bit.
Everybody wants to be an actor, wants to be a writer, wants to be a creator too. Not everybody has creativity or the ability to come up with original content. Trends are an easy way to try to hop on the virality train without having to come up with original content.
Yeah. So I think it plays that role in a lot of different aspects of business and a lot of different aspects in your life, where you have to be willing to try something that you don't know if it's going to work or not.
Mm-hmm.
So
from a business perspective too, you've got to remember that the right 100 people seeing your stuff is a lot better than 100,000 people seeing your stuff that are 100%. Never going to buy your product or do your service. Oftentimes when videos go viral, people don't realize that 99% of those views are not even relatively close to your service area if you're a business.
And that's, I think, depending on the business, that if we're selling a product, that we're selling, I don't know, microphones for filming, and a video goes viral, that's great. They can be shipped all over the globe. It's not a, so I think from an e-com side, I think there's a little bit different of a marketing plan and strategy. But I think when you get to a local service side, that's where you get into a much different game. And
then at the end of the day too, when it comes down to e-commerce versus service or other businesses, are you trying to build a brand or are you just trying to sell product? That's the difference there. If you're just trying to sell product, then yes, chase what's hot, try to get the views, try to get it in front of as many people as possible. We're talking about actual brand building for the long term.
And you see it from a big movement of where PE money goes. And when you're watching where that money's going, it's not the person that's hit it once or twice on random products on Amazon or random products on some landing page. They're going after companies that have shown they can sustain time and they can continue to show scale. So I think that's where the companies that you may be able to hit a trend here, you may be able to hit a trend there, but for somebody to hit trend over trend over trend over trend, I don't feel like it. I don't really know people that catch them every time. And I feel like it's a very like volatile movement. Next question. What's the difference between adapting to change and chasing the shiny objects? So I think this is sometimes where people get where they think chasing the trend or actually changing, they feel like they're veering off course.
Yeah, and we say, I mean, if the leaders in the space, meaning companies that do this every day like us, are saying, hey, we don't know what's going to work in 6 months, and that's because the platforms, the algorithms, everything changes so quickly and so rapidly, then it should be pretty easy to understand that that's the case, and you have to kind of live in that, not be overly make too many changes, but be willing to pivot and change when something like that happens, and just observe stuff. Like at the end of the day, we're just watching what happens and what comes out and reacting to it. So know that there's going to be inputs by the platforms and the algorithms that make changes, that we have to react to the outputs of those changes.
And I think to the shiny object conversation, I see it with so many business owners that have ran the course, and you can tell they're in that worn out state. And then I see it just over and over, where then they retreat to this, okay, I can sell this really low price tag thing that like no work goes into. And if I sell it to 1,000 people, I get $50 a month, I make $50,000 a month. I don't have to do anything for it. And I feel like that's the shiny object syndrome that we can all sit and I get my pen and paper here and I can make whatever equation I want on a piece of paper. If you don't have the interest in the product, if you don't have the proof in what it is, and once again, just because one person's struck gold doesn't mean every single person can go strike gold again. And it's like every kid out there that thinks that they're going to be a YouTuber in the future.
That is pretty crazy that that's like an aspirational career for kids now, is to do YouTube.
It's like, I feel like majority, like
Not so many.
it was some like
It used to be like a professional athlete now, or a firefighter. Now it's a YouTuber.
But you look at these top financial people and top influential people under a certain age bracket, majority of them are YouTubers. And they're making more than pro athletes now.
Yes, they are.
And
Some of
the longevity of it, you're not saying, hey, you're going to have a 3 or 4 year career path on it.
Not unless they get canceled.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. That is a good point. Getting canceled is kind of like blowing out your ACL, I guess.
Yeah.
That's kind of part of it.
Yeah, you can come back, but it might take you a long time.
Yeah, just who knows, really.
But most of those guys that have done it, or gals too, whoever, most of the people that have done it, I feel they all have you look at Mr. Beast per se, like you look at the long-term just discipline of what he's done from a YouTube standpoint. I don't feel like it was ever like a shiny object syndrome. And he changed things as he went, but it's not like he changed the whole entire business model of what he did, like at one single point.
Yeah, he hit a hockey stick of growth after posting content forever, like everybody else does. And then everybody looks at it and thinks, yes, I can do that too, but isn't willing to stay committed to it for long enough to make it happen.
And most people don't focus on all the little things that he has, because it's to the same point of what Hermosi's done and focused on the small things over and over and over and consistently done those things. That I think he spoke on a video that he has some guy that is paid just to focus on the first 3 seconds of every video that he puts out.
I believe it.
Just on that small of a factor. And Mr. Beast has paid astronomical money just for the thumbnails and tested and A/B tested thumbnails over and over and over.
Yeah.
That there shows the discipline to the small things. Then there's this the 99% that like, well, I just have to post. If I post because Mr. Beast has posted 2,000 times, once I post 2,000 times, I'm going to be Mr. Beast. Like, it's not how it works. Like, you don't open up a theme park and be Disney just because you also have a theme park. It's the small pieces that add up to the big picture, and them being disciplined on all those things. I feel like
you're going to get better over time, right? So Mr. Beast probably wasn't focusing on those things in the first pieces of content that he filmed, but very much kind of like you at a young age, Ricky, with content. It's just like filming stuff and posting it. I mean, look at how much
I didn't do that.
farther it's progressed. I mean, I feel like Ricky's was as skilled as he was in content when he came in, and does as well as he does on camera because of the foundation that he created at a young age.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. And it's crazy to see how far everything's developed too, though, because it used to be there was a huge barrier of entry with the content. And like the first time somebody had HD videos going up on YouTube, that's how long I've been posting on YouTube. It's like I was excited, oh, now we can post HD. And now it's like you can have a 4K camera in your pocket. So there's like such little excuses now that hold any weight as to why you're not posting the content.
I was just thinking about Ricky parkour.
But that was the thing, though. If I would have stuck with something, I could have had an actual channel. But I was a little bit of the shiny object syndrome. We were doing moto vloggins. We were doing fitness vlogs, all kinds of different stuff. But
Parkour Ricky.
Parkour Ricky,
millions
man.
of followers.
It was good stuff.
Still doing parkour.
But when you have like an actual brand online and you start to get known for something in a niche, that's where you can build an audience that you can actually build a business around.
And it is hard staying the course on something for so long. And one of the big indicators for success is people that can deal with being bored for so long that I see it with a lot of really high level business people too, that they go after something and they want to do it for 3, 4, 5 years. They sell it. They go on to the next thing. They do it 3, 4, 5 years and they sell it. The ether of the game is going from level 1 to level 10 because they don't know what past level 10 looks like, to where they figured out how to acquire money. But my thing is what is the overall evolution look like past that level? Yeah. How do you get to level 20? How do you get to level 30? That's I've always been asked about MMG being for sale. I'm like, we've had offers, but it's not for sale. I want to see what we all develop into. I want to see what additional things MMG can do in the future. I want a day where we can hold YouTubers and we can do all these different things. But that's always staying the course. I don't feel that we ever chase the shiny object. I take that back. Once in a while, I feel like I do get some sort of wild idea, but I feel like it's still on course with what we do. I do try.
You come up with the idea, and then 3 years later, you're still eating tacos.
I think we definitely put in the work and did the grind.
Yeah.
On a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and it's
even this podcast. I mean,
it's the whole mindset. I mean, that's almost the core values of ours. An extra one is the commitment to keeping a promise that we make, like podcast every week, talk or review every week.
It's wild that the podcast and the taco review, I don't even do it so much more for the outside movement of it. It's that, once again, keeping that promise to myself that I do those things. It gives me a lot of confidence in a room when there's people like, oh yeah, I tried this, I only did it for this long and I stopped. I did this long and I stopped. And it's like, I always have that like confidence level in my head that we've stayed the course and we're outlasting the people. And there's the business side that there's that piece of it. But I feel like when you really have something that sometimes can be an inconvenience, that the taco reviews, huge inconvenience now. Like podcasts, we were podcasting yesterday, 2 hours before it was posted? Mm-hmm. But it always happens. Towards that's a mental fight I take on myself each week. And I was in the car with Ricky and I was like, what do we get out of this? And then I was thinking about it when I was sitting in the office after. I'm like, what we get about it is the accolade of us staying the course of what we do. So I think that's kind of my thought process, or at least how I sell myself on it.
Yeah, I mean, self-confidence is keeping the promises that you make to yourself, or at least that's where it comes from. That's why no matter how good of a workout you have, going to the gym consistently is an important thing for your mental health more than your physical health. It's the same concept with that.
Yeah. what business fundamentals never go out of style? Things that businesses did 50 years ago that they still do today. That
Taking care of the customer,
Yeah,
I was
man.
gonna say customer service. That can never. I mean, that's never gonna go out of style.
and I
Not
feel like
ever.
that's something that most businesses don't prioritize nowadays as much. I
No,
feel like
I
it's
agree.
becoming
I
rare and
agree.
rare.
I agree with that. I have this conversation all the time. Well, and I'm not talking about like online businesses like restaurants or clothing stores, department stores. I'll go in there and like there's kids like sitting behind the register or they're just rude. Like they won't help you or they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about to help you. I have this conversation all the time. I'm like, what happened to like good customer service? Like where did that go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going out of style like in our minds, but I feel like sometimes it is in other big corporate entities maybe.
I watch it across a lot of different verticals, and I think where that happens and what there's an intersection that you come to that are you going to be value driven or are you going to be price driven? And I feel like a lot of times when people end up at that intersection, they pick fully price driven, they ditch value. And I'm not going to say that every single case, but I'm going to say majority that they think because their excuse of why they can't offer great customer service is their product is too cheap. To where then they can't get A players, they can't get the staffing, they can't get all of the things. And I see it with restaurants where I go in and they'll be like, well, it's going to be a 10 to 15 minute wait.
There's
And as
15 tables open.
yeah, as half of the restaurants open, and I'm watching people walk in and walk out, walk in and walk out because they're not going to wait. And you want to know how you get somebody frustrated more than anything? Tell them that they have to wait when half the restaurant's open. And then they're like, well, and I look at the lady, I'm like, looks like there's a lot of tables open. Well, we can't get any staffing. Nobody wants to work anymore. And this lady's pissed off. So then like all the people that are working there are pissed. And I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving.
I bet everybody's having a real good experience in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then
I'm gonna get great service once
Yeah.
I do get some.
Yeah.
So then if you do get sat, you have some waiter or waitress that's overloaded 10 ways to Tuesday that's also pissed. And the whole thing's just falling down. And it doesn't make sense to me how somebody watches that and doesn't think to change in my head, I'm like, I'm watching the people exiting as the biggest issue there. And a lot of times these business owners are so focused on just a spreadsheet of what their numbers look like, and they can't figure out why it's going southbound. And I'm like, just go sit in there and you'll see.
Yeah.
But then to that point too, when you have all those things that are stemming from that issue, I think a lot of times they don't know where to start. That I've been in that scenario before in other business where it's you start dropping customer service and you don't know where it's actually dropping at. Anything else on fundamentals that don't go out of style?
I mean, I don't think that just having a good product should go out of style either. I mean, whatever you're selling should be a good product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be something that lives on, as long as we live.
Yeah. Not getting caught in the race to the bottom.
Yeah.
It's a bad place to be.
I think a great product and a great service, that is the key to having great sales and great marketing and having all the other pieces.
Yeah.
If your
Same
product
here.
and your service sucks, your sales and your marketing is going to suck.
Yeah. Or, I mean, you could have the best marketing ever, but once people realize that your product sucks, then your sales go.
They're just going to realize it really fast because more people are finding out about it.
That's right.
Yeah. The longevity of it's a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
But moving on to the next topic, standards over feeling. So how do you hold yourself accountable to your own standards of what you do every day? Take a little bit of a left turn.
That was a little bit of a
Yeah.
left turn. I like
A
it
little
though.
bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people say that your standards are going to be, it's not what you don't get what you expect, you get your standards. So if you say you're going to work out, that goes back to the self-confidence thing of doing what you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to work out in the morning and then you don't go work out in the morning, then you're not holding up your own standards and then it's going to mess with your confidence. And chances are you're just not going to feel like working out all of the time. So you have to become the type of person who does work out. And I think that's sort of where you get to the point where it's a standard, where it's part of your identity. And it's not like a thing that you're having to go do. It's just part of who you are. And I think when you get to that point, things get really easy.
Yeah. For a lot of my life, I set a standard from external movement. It was like me doing these things, me tackling this task. And that became just a habit of who I was. So that consistency for a long time yielded to success in a lot of different ways. I feel as I've pressed forward more, the standard has become so different in my mind on how I think and how I operate, that the standard has to be from a emotional control standpoint, from a standard of how my mind operates every day to how I think about things, that challenging myself that much more. And I feel like it's happened over the last probably 6 to 12 months. I've just seen a big shift in that.
Yeah, I think it helps you when you have the emotional control thing figured out, right? Because if you set the standards and you set your guiding principles, you say, okay, I'm not going to let anything sway me from this. I know where I'm going to go or where I want to go. I've signed up for this journey, right? I know this journey is going to be hard. Like, I've committed to this. The thought of hard and the actual feeling of hard are different. And that's why it's easy to commit to stuff, but hard to stick it out when it gets hard. So, like, knowing that and remembering the bigger picture and not letting the emotions control your decisions in that, I think is the biggest thing. So for me, I think it's the emotional control. Since I figured that out, it's a lot easier for me to say, okay, this is a problem that I signed up to take on, or a challenge or a feeling that I know I'm going to experience as a part of the growth process. Like, this pain is what I wanted. It's not abnormal. It's not something that I shouldn't be feeling. So I'm okay with it. I can, in that moment, say, okay, I can understand that this isn't outside of the normal based on where I want to get.
Yeah.
It changes your perspective to include what that end goal is rather than just the obstacle that you're trying to get over.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that mental state that you live in at those moments is difficult to understand. As you start understanding how to navigate that, I feel like front side, I started learning that for myself, and then I started figuring out where the most progression was going to come, was figuring out how to get more people to understand that same emotional control and just overall thought control and the control of yourself. That I feel like there was a point that all of a sudden it shifted, that I didn't feel like I was navigating in the moment. I felt like I was almost like out of my body, that I was like in control, and just like time shifted, the pressure changed, like all those things. Like, I felt like all of a sudden out of nowhere, like
Your awareness changed, your consciousness expanded.
yeah, and it was weird to experience and weird to like start navigating, because I feel like I look at things and I used to always want to be so fast to react, and I've slowed myself down to.
Yeah, and for me at least, I feel like it's a peace feeling. It's not making decisions based on my short-term emotions or the way I feel now. I can think about and rationalize the long term. Like, I might not like the way that I feel now, but I don't need to make a decision or say something or do something about this. Like, I'm okay. Like, this is going to go away. It's going to get better.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note that you need to apply the standards for like different areas of your life. So like the example that I had was with fitness. And then if you know that the disciplines and the habits that come with following a fitness routine or whatever it is, like, all right, now let's not just focus on fitness. What other areas of the life that we can improve? So then that goes into, if you have a problem with emotional control, like I definitely used to. And one of the easiest things that's helped me, the best tool that I've used to get better with emotional control is meditation. So you're just more aware of the thoughts that are coming up, but then you can apply the same thing. Like, it could be your finances or anything, but having an active process of trying to improve your life and to keep those standards moving forward, because your standard that you had in high school or in college or whatever probably isn't going to be the same when you're 30 or 40. So just making sure that you continue to grow in all aspects of your life.
I feel like it's pretty cool as you progress, how you watch that standard change. that I used to think when we were in the basement, I'm like, we're the gold standard. And I look back, I was like, I mean, we told ourselves whatever we wanted to hear at the time, but I look at it now, I'm like, if we had to compete against ourselves now, we would be screwed. So it's that carrying that standard, but I also think when that standard is, the standard's not something that we haven't gotten to yet. The standard is what we do every day and how you react in the moment from every aspect of it, and what that actual actionable thing is that takes place, what's taking place in our minds. And if you would have told me 7 years ago that I'd be sitting on here talking about emotional control and anything like this, I'd be like, get out of here. I'm like, I'm just going to outwork you every which way possible.
Yeah.
But I've now figured out that that's not how you get to the promised land.
Yeah. And with standards, I mean, everybody's going to have excuses and things come up. And like I read something by Alex Hormozy lately. It was like, it might not be your fault, but it still is your problem. And I think that's good to remember with excuses and standards and stuff. Like it might not be your fault that you didn't get any sleep last night, or it might not be your fault that your finances are bad because your car blew up. It still is your problem.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to change. So the faster that you can realize that and be solution focused rather than problem focused is going to help you get back to those standards and uphold them faster.
Yeah. Last question. How do you balance empathy for people without compromising on standards?
That's a tough one. I feel like you have to take it back to always the lack of knowledge or lack of execution thing. If it's something that we have talked about, we have gone over, I know for a fact you know how to do this, you just completely didn't do it. I think that's where you have to be a little tougher on people, and the empathy kind of goes out the window.
Yeah, this is one I've struggled with over time, because I feel like I do hold a standard to the way I do things. But that doesn't mean whatever your standard is, it has to be everyone else's standard. To where everyone's at a different position in life, which holds a different standard. To where if I was sitting here today, the way I always position it to myself is if I was looking at myself at 21, I would hate that guy. Like, that dude would piss me off so much.
21-year-old you?
21-year-old Dane, 31-year-old Dane.
You're not hiring 21-year-old Dane?
Probably not. Like, it was just, if I was hiring off of the standards of what I carry today, I would not hire 21-year-old Dane. To where when you start positioning it that way, it's not fair to people, because we could have 10 different things that we're basing our standards on. And if Ricky was hiring me strictly off of fitness standards, he probably wouldn't hire me right now. But it's like, if I strictly hired people off of emotional control, there would have been people that didn't get hired.
Yeah.
To where it's like, what are those standards that you can still have? I think the way I position the empathy for people is what finding them on the level that they're on. Because there's times I sit with people that are miles ahead of myself too. That I'm like, I'm glad that they have the empathy for myself that I haven't built to the standard of where they're at. So I think just understanding that there's levels to it is at least how I kind of have formulated it in my head.
I like that a lot. Yeah. I mean, we all go through stages of growth and learning, and expecting someone to have it all figured out in their late teens or early 20s or right after college is
well, even 30-year-olds,
not
even
fair.
40. Like,
yeah. There's no set roadmap for when you should have to have it figured out.
And I don't really know people that have it all figured out. Like, I was reading a thing on Elon Musk. Like, I'm reading about him. Like, that dude does not have shit figured out on a personal level by any way, shape, or form. If we had a standard of hiring people and they had to have a certain degree of what they did on a personal level, he wouldn't get hired. Even though he's like one of the richest guys on the planet, he's got some things figured out of standard of what he does business-wise. But he was talking, they were going over his, he calls it wartime, was it? Something like that. But he goes into working 7 days a week. He stays at the office, like he sleeps there, like all this stuff. And I'm like, whatever, like good for him. Like, Not saying that's right, not saying it's wrong. It could be a standard that he runs for himself or whatever he does. The standard's always going to be different. And if I just wanted money in life and that's all I wanted, I could set a standard for what took place every single day that we were going to make from a financial state. I wouldn't take my wife out on the weekends. I wouldn't do any of the social things I do at night. And like and then how much more difficult would it be to hire people at that? It'd be a completely different group of people, completely different drivers of what those people want in life. To where, I think navigating that to what you want in life, that there's people I look to from a family aspect, that they have a standard of. A good friend of mine, he takes his daughter out to dinner every single Wednesday. It's a standard that he holds, and there's no way that you can get on his calendar on a Wednesday night. And she's grown up. She has an adult job and everything, and they still go every single Wednesday. Mm-hmm. I was like, and I look to him as like a respect, and I'm like, I hope one day I can hold that standard when I have a child that will go to dinner with me every single Wednesday night.
I think that's a really good point, is that you should be making and justifying your standards based off what type of life you want the future you to live. And then when you are around people where maybe you do emulate their family life, or this person crushes it in business, I want to take these things from this people and this from this guy. It's your standards collectively aren't probably going to look like somebody else because everybody else is trying to go to a different spot.
Yeah.
But I think that's where a lot of people run into a pretty high level of anxiety, is when they have that dream life of what they want, but their standards aren't matching that. So then they're not taking the actions today to get them there eventually. And I think that really makes people struggle. And then if they can change the actions they're taking today, that's how they become a different person tomorrow.
And when you're trying to build those standards and we're trying to be that person, it's something I've always focused on, is like, do I want people to look up to me in business? 100%. I want people to look to me as a standard of just overall living. And that's something I feel like our marketing is always kind of targeted towards, of just a standard of all of it, not just from a work side. Mm-hmm. Like I focus very, very heavily on how I can be the best husband possible and to best serve Madison in every way possible. How I can become better from a financial standpoint, if that's from investing, if that's from budgeting, whatever that may be. Like, mm-hmm. How do I become better at that? How do I become just a gold standard of life from a lot of different aspects, not just saying like, oh, well, he's good at business, but the dude's an asshole, doesn't do anything for anybody else, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's a standard of what we do for the nonprofits,
company culture,
just all those things. Yeah. Like, and I think looking at standards, anybody listening to this, focus on every part of your life. Don't take away just your standard of business from this. Mm-hmm. And look to the people that run a standard of what you want your life to look like too. I think that's where it blows my mind of the people that someone will listen to that has nothing of what they want in life. Like, it actually truly blows my mind a lot of times. Mm-hmm. When there's people that speak on all these different things. There's therapists out there that have the most jacked up lives possible. Somebody's going to go sit with them and they're going to tell them about how they're going to fix their life. Like, look at who you're listening to. There's a lot of value that's held there. See if they hold any of the standards that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times you got to just good old David Goggins accountability mirror. I mean, just you and you when you're thinking about that. Like you can have the conversations in your own head that you're going to have with other people or are looking to. You might get some better answers from them, but you're just afraid to have those conversations.
And that it took me a long time till I could start talking to myself. And it took me a long time till I started becoming receptive to myself. That there's a lot of times I think the framework that we build in our head, we put walls up in our head that build us where we don't take constructive criticism from ourselves. And I think that's where that pathway is, that you lead to excuse really quickly. And people justify excuses to themselves better than anything else. People will sell themselves excuses over and over and over. and they sell them enough that to them it becomes reality. That I was watching a video yesterday that they're talking about one of the biggest things of visionaries is when they can see stuff so often that they said a lot of times when someone goes to sleep, a visionary sometimes will lose track of what's actually reality to what's actually vision that they've created. Their brain can't tell the difference.
So if you want to change your life, think about your goals as you're falling asleep, because your brain's coming from like a beta wavelength down into theta. So what happens is your analytical mind, the autonomic nervous system, is shutting down. So your subconscious is more susceptible to that type of information. And then your brain does all the crazy brain things that it does, or that's where it gets into like infinite intelligence, God, whatever you believe in. You have some pretty real control over your life. If you take that time to think, and almost nobody does, and it's difficult, but take that time to think about where you want your life to go, and then don't fall asleep, but you just focus on.
So the wild thing? It's pretty much all the writing in this book happens in my bed right before I go to sleep. And it's like, that's my time where I feel like I become most clear. And that's where almost that like kind of out of, like sometimes I write stuff down and then I'm looking at it the next day. I'm like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But at the moment, it felt like it made so much sense.
Yeah. Have you ever had a lucid dream where like you're in a dream and then you understand that you're in a dream and can like control it and stuff?
I definitely have.
Yeah.
I've had those dreams. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm not gonna say I can controlled it. If we go down the whole dream rabbit hole, like I don't know, like that's from a
I've
dream
even had
perspective.
them
I think I'm jacked up.
I've
think
even had them where
got
I can
problems.
like wake up from a lucid dream and then I go back to sleep and I like go back into the dream.
Like you can consciously go back. Like I want to
Yeah.
get back into the dream.
Well, I'll like physically be awake.
Yeah.
And then I fall asleep and I go right back into the same dream I was in. Like not trying to, it just happens. It's super odd.
Yeah,
See, the
And not
reason
very common, but-
reason I don't go to like therapists and things like that is because like my dream state at night is not good, so it's not a place that I like. So it's never. That's why everyone's like, oh, I love dreaming and stuff. I'm like, yeah.
You don't
like
have
be-
good dreams?
Do you remember your dreams? Really? I don't remember very many of them. Lucid ones.
Yeah, I don't.
sometimes.
I don't remember.
But
Very
like
many
even
dreams.
lucid dreams I've had, I'm like I couldn't tell you exactly what they are now.
But generally, I like dreaming. I guess. No.
No.
No, not fan. Well, one thing that you can for sure do though, regardless of lucid dreaming or anything, if you're somebody that like wants more gratitude in your life, one thing you can focus on really easily is right before bed, either thinking about something you're grateful for in the future or now. That's most likely the mental state that you're going to be waking up with in the morning. So that is a really easy way if you're like going through a tough time mentally. If you think about things you're grateful for before you go to sleep, that's where your subconscious mind is like still processing that as you're sleeping, and then you're going to wake up in a better headspace.
I think I'd like to talk to you more about meditation.
I would love to, dude.
Yeah.
Because I've thought about trying it before. I just don't really know where to start. And
It's
don't
a
really.
weird thing to just jump into. And
yeah,
it's-
I feel like it takes time to develop. It's kind of like working out. You're not going to bench 300 pounds the first day you work out. Like, I
Ricky
feel like
will.
you have to build up.
Ricky will.
Yeah,
but not 500.
But
not 500 the first day.
So I know it's something that takes time and probably a lot of effort, but I'm just curious about it. So.
That's a really good way to look at it, though. Is like it's like a muscle. It goes just like with the emotional control. Like the more clarity that you can have over your thoughts, and you see those thoughts bubbling up, then you can have the delay in the response, so that you can choose how you want to respond instead of just that knee jerk reaction. But it also it applies to a lot of other things as well, not just emotional control. But
I love it. Two good topics. If we go down the dream rabbit hole, this will end up being a 2
we'll save that one for later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be another one. So 1, stop chasing trends, build foundations. 2, standards over feeling. But good having you guys on. Great conversations as always. Make sure you join us again next week for the M3 podcast. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.